Okay, anyone to pray for us? Someone to pray for us? Noda says her voice is blocked, but at least you'll be able to hear us. Shiba, can you pray? Or Shannon?
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. Thank you for the gift of life. Thank you for guiding us throughout the night and enabling us to wake up today, Lord. I pray that you enable us to pick something from today's early bird farmer session. In Jesus' name I've prayed. Amen.
And thank you, Shannon, and good morning, everyone. I want us to start with a video from Gaya's High School. I've started it halfway just to pick the last process, and I'll ask you later what you're able to see and whether it is possible in your own backyard. So I'll go straight and play that video. Please, if you're not hearing anything, let me know. I'll start playing now.
Clean milk production and marketing and recording. And now we're in the section of nutrition. The value chain for milk production, from whatever point you're going to start it, is very, very important to follow each step by step. Now, we look at the milk production and how milk production we get from each animal, which is about 13 to 14 liters or 15 liters per animal per day. Now, that comes from good nutrition. And on Gayaza farm, the major sources of nutrition and whereby we get carbohydrate, but also you need protein. But talking about carbohydrate, it is mainly from two sources. One is the elephant grass, and the second one is maize. In the part of legumes, the major part or area or source of protein is lab. But you can also use it, you can also get mukuna bean, you can also transplant elephant grass with silato, you can interplant silato, centrosima, or desmodium. There are two types of desmodium. Get where you can get carbohydrate is hay, but that one would have to buy it in simply because we don't have enough land to grow hay. Now, in the part of hay, the grasses from which you can get hay or make hay are Chloris guyana, that's the main one. But you can also make hay from Bracharia. Bracharia mulatto is the best these days. So that is broadly the source of either carbohydrate or protein. Now this is the elephant grass. And the way mistakes made by most of the farmers is to chop or cut this elephant grass in the wrong way. However, before even I come to the cutting part of it, I will talk about how do you plant elephant grass. Now, elephant grass is cut, and you cut in reeds. Normally, you cut in reeds, and you have about 3 or 4 reeds, or with 3 or 4 joints on each reed. And you can either plant it just pointing it into the ground, which is a system which I don't like, or plant it like you're planting cassava cuttings. And for me, that's the best, because from each leaf node, you'll have a growth coming up. And the distance between the holes of planting is about from one crop to another is about 3 feet. It's about 3 feet, which is about 1 meter. And the best planting material now available from research area is called Bakchong or Super Napier. But there are different varieties, which the Kakamega and some from Narrow. But the best way of cutting it is if you cut it properly, chop it at the soil level. Now if you chop it at the soil level, you have regrowth from the soil And you can see the reeds, they're quite big and strong, and you've got a whole nutrition coming up when you cut it. Now, when you don't, when you cut it above the soil, you can see on the same crop, okay? This particular one it came from the ground. But this one, on the other hand, was cut and it came from one of the lymph nodes on the top of the soil. You got better examples when you come to about here. These are small, all cut on the same day, but you can see the different sizes. This was bad cutting, okay? Cutting from the part that you leave, growing from the lymph nodes, and it's small. So you don't have very good nutrition coming from here. Additionally, I would like to say this, that after harvesting, when you want regrowth, it is very good that you add some fertilizer every 3 months. Yes, viewers and students, we are just come from the nutrition part of the source of carbohydrate, which is elephant grass, which has been used for long in the East African countries, definitely in Uganda. The second main source of carbohydrate on any farm which wants to improve, or which has improved, is maize. Now, this maize that we have in Gaza High School is planted with a machine. So it is machine planted. But if you don't have a machine, it doesn't mean that if you don't have a machine, you cannot plant maize. If you don't have a machine, you can plant maize, and the distances from one hole to the next is 2 feet. And then from one line to the next is also 2 feet. So it is 2 by 2. And the best way of maintaining these lines is getting a string. Of course, the first thing you do is to prepare the ground. You prepare the soil, but it must be done, you plow, and then you harrow. And then you prepare to plant. So while you're planting, I say you can use manure, and the spacing is 2 by 2. And in each hole, you put 2 or 3 seeds, but 2 is the best. The different types of maize seed that you can use, they are hybrid seeds. There are many on the market. But Longe or Narrow has produced a number of them on the market, and there are a number of them that come from Kenya. With the planter, you see lines, and it's about 2 feet between the lines. I can use my foot, as you can see. So that is it. So it's about 2 feet between the lines. And if the plate has been set well, there will also be 1 foot or so per and continuously. Now we are going to look at how the silage is made from the elephant grass. So this is the chopped elephant grass. We are now going to use a tractor and a chaff cutter to cut this elephant grass, which is going to fall on this plastic sheet, which we'll place down here. And then you can either put molasses
Mr. Ronald? Mr. Massa, was the video paused on your side?
Yeah, it's paused here. That must have been network.
Okay. Okay, yes. Good morning, everyone. Okay, let's wait for Mr. Ronald to come back. Do we have any farmer that is already on the farm and you are willing to take us to your farm? Type in the chat and then we shall get back to you.
Okay, Mr. Ronald, we can continue.
Respiration, which will lead to the production of lactic acid or some alcohol, which will act as a preservative of this chopped material, and that is how silage is made. Now, the addition of the molar plus is also bacteria, but which quicken the ensiling process, so that within about 3 or 4 days, if you're under pressure, you can actually start using this chopped material, this silage which is made, and use it well. The ensiling process will be over. Otherwise, if you do not have if you just leave the chopped material and you've added the molasses, within 27 or within 1 month, the silage is ready and you can feed it to the animal. That is at one scale of silage making. Organic acid, lactobacilli, that's a bacteria, some yeast, and some phototropic bacteria. So bacteria is the most important, but the other things, here the ration you're going to use is about 200 mils in about 10-15 mils of water. So what we are going to do, we're now going to compress. That's the first thing. Or you can use a tin, 200 liters full of water, and then you roll over. That's the second one. The third one, you use a 4-wheel vehicle. But that one must be planted and maybe in a pit, and then you drive over. The fourth one is to use a tractor. But so we're using the simplest which anybody can actually adopt, not to say that you can't do silage, because they don't have machinery. Manpower can do. So we are going to use manpower, and we are compressing. Covering it. Again, we shall make sure now we cut. That was a small silo made out of elephant grass for any farmer, small as that farmer may be. Now this is an example of a bigger silo, and it's important that everything that you do as a big farmer, the things you do them scientifically. Removing it is tough, which shows that the compaction was actually good. Yeah. Smell it, taste it, it's good. The animals will do the last test. If the animals don't reject it, you know that it's good silage which was made. And as I said, on this farm, we harvest almost 500 kilograms of silage every day. Feed these animals twice in the morning and for the evening.
I'm Kaya Hussein, and so this is our cattle barn at High School Farm. So we get to feed these animals both in the morning and the evening. So this is the evening session. So we have put napier grass plus the supplement of the neighborhoods, which is a bikanja. So we get to supplement their feeding in order to increase on the milk production. So we have the various breeds, as you can see here. You have the Jerseys, you have the Ayrshires, you have the Frisians. So every...
So the animals have been milked in this milking parlor. Cleaning is cleaned by our colleagues here, who make sure that that is done every milking. And as you can see, this milking parlor is now clean. All the cow dung and the urine has been washed away. It is in a slanting manner, so even any water that remains, eventually after out, just flow down and it goes away. So cleaning is part of a clean dairy for clean milk production. And lastly, any farm that doesn't have calves definitely lacks something more work needs to be done. So on this farm, we've got calves here which are less than 2 months, 2 months or younger, and on different breeds as we explained before. In that while the students are being taught, they are told the 4 different major dairy breeds. That is the Guernsey, the Ayrshire, the Frisian being the main one, and these are all the most related.
At Guys High School, we only do bucket feeding when feeding our calves. Actually, these calves don't know their mothers. They leave their mothers immediately or a few hours after birth. And when they are first feeding, we train them on bucket feeding. The process is quite simple. You bring your milk in a bucket, measured obviously according to the amount of milk you want to give it. Normally, a calf that is a day to 3 days old takes lesser milk, about 1.5 liters. But when it makes 3 days, then it can take its full 3 liters of milk. For the training, let's assume we have our milk in this bucket. You dip your fingers, your index fingers, the 2 index fingers, you dip them in the milk, and then you put them in the mouth of the calf. So this one is already satisfied and is not so much interested. But that's how you do it. You dip them in the milk, put them in the calf's mouth, and then you pull it closer. It keeps coming, and then you dip your fingers with its head in the milk. Repeatedly, after about
Okay, we'd like to welcome those who are just joining us. We've been at Gaza High School and we've been learning about nutrition for animals. I know that we have the farm manager of Gaza High School on the call. If there are any questions, we could have them and Patrick would be able to attend to them. But also, if you are ready to take us to your farm this morning, please raise your hand and let us go to your farm. Patrick, maybe what is our local name for elephant grass? And can we plant any type we see on the road?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Dungu, and good morning, everyone. The local name for elephant grass I've been told is Ebisagazi. That is the local name. And if you really want to produce big volumes of Ebisagazi, you can't plant any that you meet on the road. There are those good ones, like for us at Gaza, we plant Super Napier. But there are very many varieties, the Kakamega. If you went to a research institution like Naro, they would give you different varieties and their seeds. That is all I can say.
Okay, if I found a Sagazi on the roadside and I wanted to plant, what should I do?
I would advise that you plant a modern variety that will give you more fodder, like it will develop more leaves than the local varieties. But if you don't have any choice, you can still plant the one that you meet on the road, and the seed that you plant, you cut 2 to 3 nodes, and then dig your hole of about 15 centimeter deep, and you plant the 3 nodes, and it will germinate. After 3 to 4 months, you'll be having your first harvest of that Napier.
Okay, so that Napier grass or Sagazi looks like the sugar cane. So when you cut the sugar cane, you see the nodes. We normally share out the nodes. So what is being taught to us is that we cut it in a length of 3 nodes each, And I heard Dr. Semabo say that it is better you plant it the way you plant cassava. Probably somebody will find us a video of how to plant elephant grass so that we can share it in the many groups. We would like our students and teachers to learn at least how to grow that grass. There are some questions in the chat, but I think Mr. Kazura had raised his hand somewhere. Mr. Kazura, did you want to add something?
Yes, I wanted to ask.
Please ask.
Okay, I have a question. Okay. Now, I want to know how much, what is the quantity that you feed your cows and what do you depend on? Do you depend on the weight? And in case, yes, so that is the first question. Then how do you treat your cows? What kind of diseases affect them? Even when it comes to the maize, what kind of pests affect you and how you manage them?
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Kazira. Yes, we feed our cows according to their weight and according to their level of milk production. Usually a cow of about 500 kilograms, we give it 15 to 25 kilograms of silage per day. Those that are below, say 350 kilograms, 300, we give them 10 to 15 kilograms of silage a day. And then the other factor, like I said, is level of milk production. Our highest milker is a cow that is giving us 20 to 30 liters per day. We feed it more than the one that is giving us 10 liters per day because we really want the other big amount of milk from it, so we feed it more. And the diseases that we face at the farm, for animals commonly, we are faced with the challenge of mastitis because we have a Frisian dairy animals, and they are very susceptible to mastitis. Their immunity is not so strong. It is the biggest challenge we have at the farm, and we treat it with antibiotics, that is gentamicin and pen and strip sometimes. Yeah, we treat it with antibiotics. And then when it comes to the maize, our biggest challenge with maize growing is the fall armyworm, and but we have managed to control it in most cases, and we use the common insecticides that have been put for us on the market, the rocket, the dudufenos, the duduethod. If you reach out to an agro input shop, they'll be able to give you that, but that's what we use for our maize to control the fall armyworm. Thank you.
Okay, I know we have Elizabeth on the call. Elizabeth, are you hearing us? Elizabeth, yes, are you still there? Yes. I know, Elizabeth, you've been at Gayaza before.
Yes, I'm there.
You've been at Gayaza before. You've been in another school before. You've been in all places. Any additions generally on management of the nutrition of cows?
Nutrition and management of maize. Maybe Patrick has said much of it.
Okay, we are losing Elizabeth. We'll get back to her. There are some other questions in the chat. I think somebody was asking, can't the calf bite you or it does not have teeth? Patrick, that is one question. The other question, Okay, Nyakacho says in Japadola they call them mudole. Somebody else will tell us in their own language how they call elephant grass. Okay, dear students, there is also a link for you to book the early bird farmer series when you can present. And then another one, what would be the cost? What would be the cost of a calf? You know, now if we want to get farmers out of this series. So Patrick, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dungu. At 1, 2, 3, 4 days, a calf is unable to bite you because its teeth is not yet developed. So it cannot bite you at that stage. The teeth grow with time, after some time. That's when the teeth come out. But at 1, 2, 3, 4 days, the teeth is not there and the calf will not be able to bite you. And more so, it has not yet learned how to bite. So it cannot. For the price of the calves, at Gayaza High School Farm, we do not sell calves. Okay, female calves, we do not sell female calves. We keep them for our own future herd and production. But if there is a heifer that we have chosen to sell, we sell in-calf heifers, those that are pregnant. So we sell you 2 cows, the mother and the calf that is in the womb. So that's how we do it. And the reason is to increase the price because we are selling you 2 cows. Yes, that, and it depends on the breed, the size. Usually that's what it depends on. So the price varies. And if you have reached the farm, we can negotiate. But for the bull calves, we also sell bull calves when we get some. And the price of a 5-month-old bull calf is 750,000. Yes, that one. If there is any customer, you can even come today and we talk.
Okay, thank you, Patrick. And that means if you keep with us here on the early bird farmer, you might be able to purchase an animal from Gayaza High School at an opportune time. Is there anyone ready to take us to their farm? If you are ready, please put up your hand. Is there any other question? Otherwise, I want us to move to St. Mary's College Isubi Farm, and we will also see their cattle management, and we should be able to get more questions in as we wait for other people to join us. So let me move to St. Mary's College Isubi this morning.
Welcome to SMAC, where we are is the school farm. I'm John Paul Mutesa, a teacher of agriculture, the head of department, agriculture, and also the director, a SMAC farm. So at the college, we have 5 major enterprises. We have the poultry enterprise, the dairy enterprise where we are, piggery. We also have bananas, and regularly we do some vegetables. So at the dairy enterprise, of course, as you can see, we have cattle. These animals feed both on fresh pasture and also preserved pasture. We do preserve, especially maize, into silage, and we feed these animals. So when we are feeding these animals, of course, as a heifer or as a producing dam, it will need to take much forage to satisfy its desire and be able to give us the milk. We realized that nutrition was not up to date, was not adequate. Our animals are not feeding adequately, So with Mr. Dungu and Dr. Semambo, 2018, we came up with a program of trying to improve the nutrition of our animals. And that's when the idea of growing napier, growing maize for silage was nurtured. So 2018, we started growing high forage pastures which can provide the nutrition which can satisfy the demand of the cows. So as of now, we have 2 acres of napier, which is harvested and fed to these cows. We are also growing maize, corn maize for silage. We have silage that we made in 2018. It is still in the pits, much as we are already exploiting it. We are feeding to the animals. And now we want to change and put up a new silo or a new pit or hill for silage. So where we are is the point where we keep or do our silage. When doing silage, we use 2 methods. There is the pit method and also the heap. This is a heap, and this one is maize silage. Maize silage. This was heaped in 2019, and it has been here for now 3 years, well preserved. So this silage, we manufactured it or prepared it together with our boys, because we want to train them on how to avail pastures for animals, even during scarcity periods. You understand that during drought seasons or periods, the scarcity of fresh pasture is at peak. So if you are to have a continuous output, say, of milk from a dairy animal, the nutrition must not change. It should keep regular. So where you don't have fresh pasture, you have to resort to preserved pasture. So here we preserved maize into silage, and this silage is what we are feeding our cows during the scarcity periods. They could go and harvest the little that is there in the farm, and then come back to feed on this preserved silage. So our boys, those now who are in senior 3 and 4, the current senior 3 and 4 who sat last year, they are well conversant with what it takes for one to produce a preserved pasture. So when they become those farmers in the future that are going to keep their animals, they'll be understanding what it takes for one to keep a dairy animal and keep producing going forward. So this maize silage is always rich because we harvest the entire crop with the maize cob and all the forage and crushed by the chaff cutter, and then we ferment it just on surface, as you can see here. So here we have this heap which we are already utilizing. Our animals are feeding on this silage. And then we have another pit which is intact since 2019. The pasture is there. We are yet to get the need to utilize it. So that shows you how long you can keep a pasture and utilize it when it is actually necessary to use it. So here on my left is another heap pit. When I stand on it, you may think that I'm just on a farm ground, but this is a heap, a pit. Under here we have over 6 tons of preserved forage or pasture, preserved in the form of silage. So we are very aware that coming January, February, it's likely to be dry. That's the time we expect that this pit shall be opened to utilize the silage which is here. And thus, we shall have a continuous production of milk because our animals will always eat to their satisfaction. So we want to thank the people who organized the conference agribusiness youth conference, which happened in 2018, because they brought about all this. At the farm, we never had this preservation of pastures, planting of pastures. But when we were organizing that, all that knowledge came about. So we thank the people who organized, that is Mr. Dungu and the team. Then Dr. Semambo, who brought in the expertise of how to come up with this kind of feed for the animals, and then passing on the knowledge. Because for us as an academic institution, our major role is to pass on knowledge, to pass on skills. Today, we have a challenge that the youth, they don't understand these things, especially the ones we have, like in our college. They come from such families where one never go out to the farm. They don't see these things happen in a real sense. So when you go to class, you teach them the theory. The theory is something imaginary. But now here we try to put in practice to show them exactly how it is done, and they come to appreciate. Normally they get excited whenever we come out to do practical work here, maybe making silage or harvesting pasture for animals, milking. They get excited. They get to know that a cow is milked this way. The milk I enjoy from the fridge at home is gotten from an ad of an animal. So they get to understand all that. So we pass on this knowledge. We pass on these skills, and we make sure that when this person, a lawyer to be tomorrow, is after investing money, he knows where to invest it. Because most people, those who have money, they look at agriculture as the point where to invest their resources, but they don't know what it takes. So I want to nurture a person from childhood, from this stage as a secondary school child, to know how do we bring up a dairy animal? What do we get from a dairy animal? What does it take for the animal to produce to that expectation of the farmer? This is what we do here. This is what we impart into the skills of the students, younger students, as they grow. So SMARC is that school that produces a person who is all round, a person who understands everything, not just academics. We get out of the class and come to the farm and see things in reality. So here is a point. We do silage. We use two methods, the heap method and the pit method. This is Dora. We got Dora from Gayaza School. One time when we were in a farm camp, 2018, we were donated a heifer. This heifer I was talking about primarily, and she's called Dora here. As I told you, Dora, in the first month of lactation after calving, milks 28 liters. But as of now, about 2.5 months into the lactation period, she's giving us 20 liters per day, and that has boosted, of course, our output. We thank the Gayaza School. We thank their administration. We thank the farm management that they gave us this very good animal. It is one of the best producers we have now, because our highest producer, when he has produced in the first month, she can give us about 30, and Dora is giving us 28. So you say that Dora is doing a very good job for us, and the pressure goes to the thanks we give them to Gayaza. So we intend to have Dora produce for us replacement stock, and already we have this this calf for Dora, which we are going to keep as a replacement stock. Going forward, that we expect her to produce like the mother or even better than the mother. And if we got 2 or 3 calves from Dora, I think our farm would be well boosted. Where we have reached now, behind me, is a field of maize. Maize which is going to be used for making silage. We have 3 acres here. This was a paddock initially that animals used to graze in, but you know, the pastures that we are covering were within that paddock were not the best pastures. Our cows used to consume that pasture, but they could not produce much. So when we went through that conference, the Youth in Agribusiness Conference 2018, one of the decisions we took was to improve the pastures. And improving the pasture meant that we have to plant nutritive pastures. Much as we planted napier grass, 2 acres, we had to bring up another technology that is producing the silage that we'll be able to keep for some time, because the napier, when it is dry, it can also become coarse and less palatable to these animals. So we said take off this paddock to grow maize, and that maize we use to make silage. So as you look at the corn, it has started producing the maize corns, and then in 3 weeks' time, we shall go through the process of enslaying maize and fermenting that maize, and then storing it there until the demand for it prevails. We have just seen that the heap we produced, we did in 2018, and 19, it is almost getting done. So it means we need to have a new heap that is going to keep us safe during scarcity periods. So these 3 acres will give us about 6 tons of silage. We would wish to have our boys present to do that job, because it is their job to produce for the animals. These animals belong to the boys. They are the ones to take the milk. They need to understand how food is produced for those animals. But this COVID issue has made it difficult that we are going to make new silage in their absentia. Just in front of me is the piggery unit, and here is a field where we are growing maize for feeding these animals. It is always a challenge, especially when the prices go high for feeds, and our animals sometimes lack adequate amount of feeds to keep them moving. So with the need to also show that show students and the people around that
Mr. Ronald? Okay. Mr. Ronald is getting back.
They come up with the...
Mr. Masaba, is it playing your side? Okay.
Sorry, somebody called me and I dropped. So let me see. So this means you have planted and let me connect back.
we are planting maize, it is only 3 feet by 1 feet. But here I'm seeing 1 meter by a meter. Why did you space like that? So we try to follow the principles as we do these crops. That when a learner comes here, he's going to see what he studied in class in theory, in practice now here. The spacing is that is recommended for this variety, the long, and we expect good yield from here that will help us at least minimize the cost of feeding animals, because one of the costs that always deep into our pockets is the feed cost. So we are going to produce this maize, process it, and then feed the pigs, and then also do some dairy meal that we shall give to our dairy cows. Of course, as we mix these feeds, we try to show those students how one comes up with a dairy meal, how one comes up with the meal that we feed to our pigs. We do the mixing. We do the mixing of these feeds on farm. So the new curriculum today demands that students gain some skills. Now, the skill cannot come when a person does not practice. So all these ventures are geared at ensuring that we meet the requirements of that new curriculum that demands skill-oriented kind of approach to learning. So we expect that our boys who do agriculture will be able to have skills in all this. They know how to grow the crop, they know how to add value, and then how to feed the animals, and then market the product that comes from the animals. So it is a process. We start from the field and we end in the market. But for us, we don't sell the corn, we sell the pig. We sell the pig. So the pig will have to consume this corn first. That pig will add value to this corn. But before the pig adds value to the corn, we, the people who keep the pig, we the farmers, we first add value to this corn by processing it into a meal that is going to be eaten by that pig, and to be able to grow at that rate recommended and give us the litter or the piglets we need, and grow to the age we need to sell it at, and get that weight that we need to sell it at within that very time that is expected. So all this knowledge will be gained by that student, that by the time he moves out of the college, he can do something. Now where we have reached is the banana plantation, the banana project. I talked about the Matoke project at SMAC. This is the project we are dealing. We are trying to ensure that we have adequate amount of food for our staff and also for the students. So if you are to look around, you're going to realize that this plantation is looking healthy. Even the crops that are undergrowing, that is the beans which are interplanted with it, are also doing well. So in this plantation, I have a permanent employee who keeps taking care of these crops, these bananas, to ensure there are no weeds, to ensure they are well pruned, and to ensure we have the best yield out of this crop. So our project is 2 acres of banana. That is 800 mats or plants of matoke. As of now, we have covered 1 acre. What we are looking at is the first phase, is 1 acre, and our plants have started yielding. At least we have bunches that we shall consume during the Christmas period. But come next year, when boys are back, we shall have food to feed them. At least we shall be able to give them a meal of matoke once a week or once in 2 weeks. So this plant matoke is one other very important crop in our country, Uganda. most of the people in central, west, parts of east, they actually eat this matoke as a staple. Every day somebody eats matoke as part of his diet or her diet. At school, we normally use 15 bunches per week for the staff. The staff eats 15 bunches per week, and the school spends 30,000 per bunch. So in my department, we realized that we need to have that project owned at the school, such that that money that goes out to that other person in the market can remain with us. So come next term, when we are open, we are going to be feeding the school the 15 bunches which are taken by the staff every other week. So we shall be sure of something like 280,000 per week, and that money will be able to boost even our farm further. So if we succeed and cover the 2 acres that we planned, it is very clear that we shall be able to feed the students, because for the students we'll have to eat about 50 bunches to 60 bunches, depending on the size of the bunch per week. So that requires us to have at least 2 acres of well-producing banana plantation. So the program is in high gear to have that realized, and I'm very certain that you're going to realize that, given the energy, given the time that we are giving to this project. So when our boys come back, they look at the plantation they left in plan. The plan to have this plantation exist was started with the current senior one. The current senior ones came with the new syllabus, and their syllabus requires some skills impacted into those learners. So we came with that class. We gave them the idea, our expectations, and where we want to be by the time they finish their O-level, the 4 years of ordinary level. So in 2020, when they had reported, we came here and we had a clearing of this piece. We cleared the piece with the senior ones. They are still in the senior ones since 2020. So before we started opening the land, they went for lockdown. So since then, they have not been able to add their input onto the plantation. But we wanted that they see where we start from. If you are to produce a matoke plant that they enjoy to eat, where do we start from? We start with clearing the land, plow the land, prepare the land. You dig the holes. How do we put manure in the holes? Which manure do we put? At which rate? Which sucker do we plant? We wanted them to go through all those steps and acquire the knowledge and the skills of coming up with such a thing. So this COVID did this bad, but we have the second phase of the second acre, because this is 1 acre. Now with the second phase, we are going to do it when the boys are around, when they are at school. And we take them through all those practices such that they appreciate the need to cherish agriculture, farming, and moving forward, they become the farmers we expect. As I told you earlier, the people we train here, they are to be ministers, they are the bankers, they are policymakers in this country, the future policymakers. And they need to understand what a farmer goes through to produce the food that he puts on the table of each of the Ugandans we have here, because this is food. The farmer produces it. What does he go through? Do you understand what it takes for a farmer to produce a bunch of matoke? Do you understand why you need to help that farmer realize his potential? Because most of the people down there, they don't have the ability, the capacities to come up with such crops, because they didn't money. The money to prepare land, the money to get the best cultivars, the money to do the control pace and all that stuff. They don't have it. Somebody has to push them. Somebody has to come up with a policy that will help the farmer down there realize the best out of his efforts. So we normally have to do the pruning, removing these sheaths which have become old, and we discourage the use of pangas and other catalysis. We instead pull them off because normally these catalyses carry pathogens. They carry pathogens, and at times they can carry parasites. So to avoid cutting every other time, we wait when this sheath is peeling back or off. You come and pull it off instead of cutting. You pull, and then such that it comes off from the stem down. Because the stem of a banana plant is underground, what we see up here is a pseudo stem, the sheath, which carries the leaf. So that is a mere example of how we can do the pruning. And a child needs to know, how do we prune? We talk about pruning every other time in class. But why do we prune and how do we prune? Then there is what we call the sucking. These plants are many. So soon you're going to begin the sucking, removing the excess suckers. Because now this one and that, those about 8. They are very many. They are very many. So when you talk of competition, as we teach competition, crops compete when they are closely spaced, compete for nutrients, space, and other things. What brings about the competition? We show them. Because they are many, the nutritive content of the soil is not able to support all these many, and therefore you're going to end up with a poor output, a poor yield. So we remove and they leave the adequate number of suckers such that the mat can be well supported and it gives us that good bunch of matoke that will impress even the consumer who's going to buy and take that plant. So this is a very good planning method. This family is well planned. We have one mother, and the mother has got 2 daughters. And we expect that these daughters will produce a granddaughter for this mother. So when the mother goes, we shall remain with these 2 plus their younger ones. And then with a well-managed environment where the crop is growing, with a good nutrient supply, we shall have very good yields. So this is what we encourage, that a plant has 3. Then soon we shall have the other younger ones coming that will be a replacement to the mother that we are going to soon harvest when it has yielded. These matoke here we are planting, as you can see, they are good varieties, so they always have very big leaves, wide leaves, and therefore when we are spacing them, we had to do a wider space than what people always talk about. Normally, people go for 10 feet, but you had to go for 12 feet to ensure that our crops get adequate space to grow. They give us the yield. Because we are talking about business, the bunch that we are going to get from here must be able to provide us with some good money. We're not doing subsistence farming. So if you don't space well, they compete for nutrients, they end up giving poor yields, and the market will not enjoy that product. So we want to have the best product well and avoid competition for nutrients. Here is the team that manages the SMARC farm, the manager of the farm and the coordinator of the activities while on the farm. Then Brother Nasisio Mubangizi is a supervisor at the farm. He coordinates also the activities at one point. And here, me, the director of the farm, and look over whatever is happening here. And I want to thank them for the job well done.
Okay, we may have some questions. If there are any questions, put them in the chat. Our specialists will be able to answer them. That was the SMARC farm, and I think the teacher there talked a lot about what schools should be doing and what we should be thinking about going forward in our education system. Any questions? Akos Rosemary raised their hand. Akos?
Morning, sir.
Good morning,
I just
Akos.
wanted to ask, there is someone I saw injecting the matoke, as in the branch. So doesn't he inject? He just leaves it like this?
I don't think I got the question. It was injecting the plants. Did she talk about injecting the plants? Did anyone pick the question? Maybe I could type in the chat for us to understand. Okay, any other? Okay, Gabriela says, I saw some leaves cut. Is it right to cut off banana leaves when they are still growing? Because if the leaves are cut off, the plant won't have what to use to make its food. Our experts, can somebody take that? Patrick, are you still there, or Elizabeth? Hello? We still have Patrick and Elizabeth.
Yes, it's not so good. I'm always jumping off.
We can hear you now.
I don't know. I've been off. My network is off. I'm just recording.
Okay, somebody is asking if you remove the plant, the leaves of the matoke plant when it's still growing, won't it affect it? Because if the leaves are cut off, the plant won't have what to use to make its food.
Yeah, I kind of, I don't know. It depends on someone's practices as a farmer. As a person, I advise people not to cut off the leaf unless it has fallen. For as long as it's still upright, it's still proper, it's not wilted, it is still manufacturing food. I realized that experience that when you cut off the leaves before they are wilted, it affects the batch. It's something that a farmer told me, and I had to look out for it myself. The batch created is the size of the batch is kind of smaller than when you leave a plant to have its forage. But of course, there are some other factors that may affect. Sometimes the varieties that may have very heavy leaves and it's affected. Sorry?
No, go on.
Sometimes there are varieties, like there is a variety of Mpologoma that can become very heavy with too much leaves. At times, it's necessary to trim off some before they wilt. But under normal circumstances, it's always better to cut off that which has fallen than removing those that haven't wilted to fall off. Yes.
Okay,
I don't know
think
if I've answered the question.
Yes, I think so. Rosemary was asking whether there is any injecting of plants in order to treat them like you treat animals.
No, Rosemary, no. Most times, the plants are treated differently from animals. So I haven't really experienced the injecting part. It is mostly spraying and like application of pests, and they're not applied while injecting. I don't know. Has she seen it somewhere?
Yes, I've ever seen it, someone doing it.
Please take us through the experience. What was that someone doing?
It will be okay. Maybe Rosemary will get us to that experience sometime so that we understand what it is. Somebody is asking what type of bananas these are. There are quite a number of types around, but some could be fruit bananas like the bogoya, the easy, but also the matoke itself, the food itself could also be gonja. I think there are quite a number of different types of bananas.
Yes.
Okay, so that says apple banana. That is indeed okay. Okay, maybe anyone who feels that their school has land and they should be adopting some of the practices here. Anyone to tell us something about their school? If your school has some land, just give us a short story about your school. And if anyone is at the farm and they would like to show us their farm, please put up your hand. We still have some 18 minutes here. Anyone who feels that either their former school, you might be senior one to be, and you don't know about your new school, but you know about your old school, your primary school. You could tell us about your school and whether there are some activities. Yes, Samanyire. Anna, go ahead.
Teacher, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. In my old school, it's called Fairfield Nursery and Primary. It's in Namanve, and we used to have a large field. We have a large field, but at the end of the field there is more land which is next to the dining hall, and there we had maize, matoke, and some beans, but mostly matoke and maize. So once in a while, we would like remove some of the things like weeds, or we would help to carry firewood to the kitchen. That's mainly what we used to do to help. Then the school that I'm going to in secondary, and where I got a vacancy is Veranyanji Girls, and I did some research on it, and it happens to be that it has land whereby they plant matoke. Well, I mostly found matoke. I don't know which other crops they have there, but I'm yet to find out when I go there.
Okay, thank you, Hannah, and we shall follow you to Veranyanje. We have worked with Veranyanje before, but because you are going there, we'll want to follow you there so that we make sure that what you are learning from here is extended further to that school. Anyone else who wants to share with us about their school, former and current, or where you are going? But also anything you have learned this morning that you want to take to your own home. you have matoke at home? Do you have cows at home? We looked at napier grass and silage making, and now we've also looked at matoke growing and a good project showcased on St. Mary's College. So anyone who would like to tell us about their action plans or what you are doing already at home, or what you think your school should be doing, either the former school or your current school? To ask the teachers, if anyone. Yes, Saidat.
Teacher, I was saying that I was going to talk about the Western fruit, but I wasn't able to go there. But next time I shall show you when I go there. It's the Western fruit. Can you understand it in local language?
What is it in local language?
In my local language. Kulekula.
Okay, but you can type the English word in the chat. Maybe others can tell us what it is. Their language. Okay, anyone else who wants to share with us? Share with us what you think your school should be doing, where you are coming from or where you're going, or what you are doing yourself in your home. We are reflecting on what we've been learning throughout ever since we started the early bird farmer, plus what we have seen today. Are there some action plans for yourself? Is there something you would like your school to be thinking about?
I have typed it in the chat.
Okay.
In English language, we can call it oyster, or we can still call it a queen's nut. We call it a nut just because it's like, you see the guinness, but for it it has a rounded shape, and we also grind it the way we grind the nuts when we're going to prepare it for sauce, and we can define it as sauce. Okay, when we prepare it for sauce, it looks like the scrambled eggs. That's the way it looks like. It looks like scrambled eggs. Now, if someone sees you eating it, may think that you are eating eggs, and still is a climbing plant. It has very, very large stems, but still it's a climbing plant. So when we are planting those things, we are advised that we must maintain some distance. When we are putting trees around that plantation, we must put the trees which are strong, because if you put the weaker trees with weaker stems, they may end up just falling down. And this thing here, when you plant it, it takes like, okay, when it has already grown up, for it to bear flowers, it will take like 35 to 45 days to bear flowers. After bearing flowers, it also takes some time to turn into fruits. Now, for it, fruits are stored in something like a bag.
Okay, Saidat.
Tisha, can you give me right to share with you my screen and I show you these pics? I already took them. as I explained.
Okay, try and we see. The question we had was, what should our schools be thinking about from all we have learned? This morning, St. Mary's College Chisubi has showcased their project, which is a school project, and they've given us reason why the children, or sorry, the students are involved. What would you like to see your school do, and which school is that?
Okay, teacher, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see
Hello?
your screen. We can see your screen.
Okay. This is how this tree looks like. You can see it's a climbing tree. You can see its stems are climbing. Let me try to show you another one. Here we go. I think it's clearer. Its stems are climbing a banana plantation. This is how it looks like. You can see its stems are slowly climbing. I can't annotate, but maybe you can understand. Okay, let me show you. Where the fruits are stored. Can you say my screen?
We can see your screen, but you are seeing us the tree. Yes, we can see your screen.
Auntie, this one, what I'm showing you, this is the thing which stores the seeds inside in it. Now, when the tree is bearing fruits, it bears something like this. The fruits will develop into this bag-like thing. So when the fruits are ready, this thing will rot. And after rotting, it will fall down from the tree, and it will fall down. It will fall down from the tree. Then, if it falls down, with the owners, we must go there and we pick the fruits. And the fruits, this is the way they look like. Here, this is the way they look like. Yeah, this is the way they look like. If it falls down, we go there and we pick these ones. And when we are planting it, we select two of them, the male and the female one of these things. This is the bag where those things are stored. When we are going to plant these things, we select two seeds of them. When they are well dried, the male one and the female one. Then we shall plant both of them together in one hole. After that, we leave it for some time and we shall go there for more results. Yes, that's what I have about these fruits. And another thing, they can be grown in humid areas. Okay, it medium loam soils. It doesn't need a lot of loam soils, and it doesn't need a lot of rainfall. That's why they say it can be also grown in humid and dry areas. Yes, and it doesn't need cooking oil to be prepared. Let me show you how it looks like. Yeah, this is how it looks like when prepared. When preparing it, we boil the tomatoes. We first prepare tomatoes with the onions. We boil them into a saucepan and salt. Then after we grind these nuts themselves. After grinding, but when grinding it, it's optional. You may put an onion or you may not put, but it's better you put an onion. If you put there an onion before you grind, it will make more cooking oil. So after grinding it, then you put it into the saucepan, you put it there some water, you boil it. After it gets ready, you pour there the tomatoes that you prepared, you boiled for it. After that, you will not need to stir in it. You leave it for boiling for more time. After, the result will be just like this. This oil here you are seeing is oil from this very sauce, and the tomatoes are making it to be red. And you can see, as I said, it is like crushed eggs. So this is the way they look like when they are prepared. This is the way they look like when they are prepared. You can see here, they're just like eggs. This is the way they look like. And let me look for the tree.
Okay, I think we need to stop there and probably take some questions from some friends here. This is an exciting plant and the product. I'm sure it has several names in different communities. She gave us her local name. Would you also type the English name in the chat? Somebody asked, can you type English name in the chat? We also wanted to know how you tell female from male. And somebody said they are sweet with the potatoes. And we are also asking if you can make a video of the whole process of preparation from grinding to cooking. That would be very good.
Mm-hmm.
And is there medicinal value?
I'll try it one day, one time. It's what I prepared yesterday, but I didn't think of it. It's what I was going to talk about, since I wanted to go in the garden and teach about that, but I wasn't. But someone was asking, is it you, Mr. Dungu, that how can you differentiate? That the way to differentiate, the male seed is larger in size, and the female one is thinner, thin in size, not too thick, but it's small in size. It's smaller than the other one, the male one. I may try to find it among our seeds that we harvest, and if I find it, if I get it, I shall show you how the two of them, and you can see that they are different. The other one is larger and this one is thin. Yeah, that is the way we differentiate them. But what we must know, that but what I know, when you are planting these things, after time for harvesting, when time harvesting comes, this fruit will fall down from the tree. But the seeds that you get most, they are the male ones. the female ones, they are not easy to find there. You may find 1 to 2, 3 like that. It's on a probability for it to be there for the female ones. But for the male ones, they are the most ones which you find there. That is the question behind it that we must know about it. But it doesn't need a lot of care. For the fruit, when it's ready, no need for you to climb the tree. It will fall down itself after rotting, after the bug rotting. Yeah, we have just like 3 trees in our garden but we already harvested last week. I wish I could show you the process. Yeah, let me wait for another tree to bring fruits and I shall show you. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Saidat. We will also wish that somebody investigates why the female are few and how you can improve on the process so that you get more females. Maybe is there anyone who has come across this nut? It looks like it is a common nut even beyond Uganda, but in different communities it might be called differently. And there might be some medicinal values. Is there anyone who has come across this nut? And for me, this was very interesting because we are
Mr. Dungu,
yes.
What my parents told me, that is just because that these female ones, they are the ones to produce the other ones. That's why they are not easy to find them more. They be the little ones. They be in a little number than the male ones. It's just because that the other ones, they're the ones which produce the others.
Okay, Susan Nachitende, you want to add? Susan, could you open your microphone and talk to us?
I think I can stop screen sharing.
Yes, you have stopped screen sharing. Nachitende? Susan Nachitende? Susan Nachitende, you seem to have come across this nut. I see in the chat.
Yes.
There's something you can tell us about the nut? We can hear you speak. Yes, Susan, speak to us.
Good morning, teachers.
Morning, how are you?
I'm fine. For me, I have them here at home. My aunt bought.
Oh, your aunt bought them or you grow them?
No, they bought them for eating as sauce.
Ah.
Yes.
Why do you think your aunt buys them?
They are medicine.
So tell us about the medicine.
I'm not really sure about it, but they act as medicine.
Okay, so Susan, you are going to research, and this week we need you to come back and tell us about the medicinal part of that. Imelda says, I grow them. Imelda, open your microphone and speak to us. Imelda.
Another thing, Mr. Dungu, I was saying.
Okay, so let's first hear from Imelda. Imelda, are you there? My voice is not clear. Oh, Imelda mentioned her voice is not clear. Sorry, Imelda, we shall pray that your voice improves greatly. But all of us now, could you blog about this plant? Blog about this plant. Take pictures and write about this plant. Whoever is doing something about this plant, because it is an interesting plant that we've come across this morning.
They are propagated.
Okay, you will write about it. You will write about them. Sadat, you will write about it. Please make use of the blog. We want to see this right and take up some of the issues that you are learning platform. We have started the project traditional foods, their values, and we have we know that some are medicinal, and due to the COVID scenario, we want to come up with that knowledge, but also we want to document on video how these traditional foods are grown and what the value is. So this became very interesting this morning because it just fits within that project, and probably we'll have to visit these villages where they are grown mostly to learn more from the farmers, but also get the stories going forward. I don't want us to go beyond this time. We are past the 7:30 mark, and I would like to thank all of you who have been joining. I don't see any more questions in the chat. We have asked Sadat to do quite a number of things for us. We need to see the process of pounding. We need to see the process of cooking. And Imelda and Susan are also going to research about the medicinal value, but also tell us about this plant. Imelda grows them, but Susan Nachtende says the aunt buys them. So we need auntie's story, Susan. You can record auntie's story, why she wants to buy them all the time and why she brings them home for you to eat and how she prepares them for you. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for your time this morning. We started at Gayaza High School where we looked at nutrition of animals and how silage is made. And I'm tempted to leave some homework for us. I'm tempted to leave some homework for us. One, we are going to look for a video. We are going to look for a video on YouTube. Somebody can start the search that teaches us how to make silage from simple steps. And then two, we want to task each one of us to look for some material, either elephant grass on the road or in your village, and cut this into small pieces and try to make some little bit of silage to feed that animal in the neighborhood if you don't have an animal yourself. So we shall put that in the chat. We'll put some homework for you in the chat going forward. And also we hope that you'll be looking after your matoke better because we watched that again from St. Mary's College Subi, and then the nut. So with that, I want to wish you the very best, and we shall catch up tomorrow at 6 a.m. Bye-bye.
Bye.